The patient activity window is a patient registration screen. It also is a starting point for just about everybody in the practice, unless you're clinical staff. So, if, clinical people, they'll start in a clinical window, but everybody else generally, when you launch the program, it begins in the patient activity window. I'm going to begin by adding a new patient, and what I like to do is I like to first click on the patient lookup button, and then I'll type in a couple letters of the patient's last name. And as I'm doing that, the patients whose last name match that criteria appear. And I want to make sure the patient I'm adding isn't already in my database. So I don't see him, so I'm going to just go ahead and click on New Patient. And when I do that, then I begin to enter the patient's name, Zachary A. Johnson, and his nickname is Zach. Address is 105 North Goodman Street. Now notice that I don't care about capitalization. I'm doing it all in lowercase. And this system uses smart caps, so as soon as I tab out of that field, it corrects that for me. And then it jumps in right to the zip code field. I'll put in my zip code. That puts in my city, state, and my area code. And I will put in a phone number. And then I will tab to the next field, and let me go ahead and enter an email address. And we'll say his email is zach@gmail.com. I'm sure that's a valid email. Like, I did not put in a cell phone number, so let me put in one here, 585-321-0045. Okay, I didn't put dashes, but it did that for me. I'll put in the birthday to 30791. Social Security number is optional. In fact, the only thing that is required to actually save a patient record is the first name and the last name. Everything else can be added later. So after I've added the information that I want to add, I will go ahead and click Save. And then it asks me if I want to add insurance. I will say yes. And now it's asking me what the insurance is, and I will say it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I just type in a couple letters, and then it gives me the options that are in my insurance plans table. And I will pick this one here. Now it is assuming we've got radio buttons up on the top. So if this were a workers' comp plan, I would check workers' comp, and it would only list the comp plans that are available for me. But I'll go ahead and choose that one. The insurance code it put in for me was BC. The subscriber, the insured party, is Zach, and I'm just going to tab over to put in his ID. And it is assigned. Now, if I have an insurance card, I would like to scan that, so I can click on View Card, and then I can click on the Retrieve button, and that will pull in the card from my scanner, and I will go ahead and say, yep, that looks good. And at this point, I can add any other information that I need to add. A couple things that are worth mentioning here. If the patient is not the subscriber, some plans will require that you have not only the patient's insurance ID, but the subscriber's insurance ID, which goes here. And they usually are different. So I will go ahead and put in his copay is $25. If I had that on file already for this plan, it would automatically carry over. If I want to go and look at the details of this plan and how it's set up, billing information, things like that, I can click on this button here. That'll take me right to the insurance plans table where I can edit the information that pertains to that insurance. I'll go ahead and leave that alone and click Save. And now at this point, we have added his insurance. I'm going to go ahead and import his photo. So I'm going to click the import photo button. So I click on that button, and then that shows me the photos that I have taken that are available on my iPhone or however the interface has been connected. I'll go ahead and choose the right picture, click the import button, and there we have that has been completed. One of the things I always want to do when I am registering a new patient is I want to select the patient's pharmacy. So I'll click this pharmacy button down here on the bottom. These buttons are configurable, so you may have different options that show up there. And if you don't have a pharmacy button on the bottom, you can use the right click button, a right mouse button, and that'll give you a menu option. And there's a bunch of other things on here that are typical, commonly used, and pharmacy is one of them. So it's another way to get there. The system does allow you to have up to 3 pharmacies on the patient level, primary, secondary, and mail order. I'll go ahead and select a pharmacy. And when I do that, it should pull up a list of the pharmacies that are limited to your region. I'll go ahead and I'll select one. And if I wanted to select a secondary or a mail order, I could also do that. But I want to just definitely select one of them for now, because that will allow the doctors to e-prescribe when they see this patient. All right, so I'm going to just do a quick walkthrough of what we are looking at. So this is our cover page. It is configurable, so yours may look a little bit different than this. I'll go to patient info screen, and this is the basic patient information. I can change any of that on demand. One of the things that I want to do on a regular basis is I want to register this patient for the portal. And here's my portal button that shows up there, and is showing in red because he is not registered. And I can see down here that we haven't done anything on that. So if I click on that button, then it allows me to go ahead and print portal information sheet, which gives the patient information on how to log in and how to get that set up. But I will go ahead and cancel that. No need to print that right now. I'm going to jump over to my responsible party tab, and the responsible party tab mainly shows who is responsible for this account. So if this were a child or somebody else is responsible for the patient charges, copays, deductibles, non-covered services, that would be this person. This is who the statement is going to go to. This is all grayed out because the patient is a responsible party. Now, if it's a different person, I want to check this box here, patient is not responsible party, and then it would allow me to go ahead and put in who the person is, the address, etc., that should get this statement. So if we jump over here onto the right side of the screen, just cover a couple of pertinent information. Apply service charges is checked automatically. That doesn't mean that he will get a service charge automatically. It just means that if you run the routine, which is one of the menu options in billing, that says, okay, everybody who hasn't paid their bill and is so many days late, then apply a service charge, that this patient will be included. So that checkbox just means include them if I apply service charges. Hold statement means that I've got special arrangements with this patient and I don't want him to get a monthly statement. Hold aging message / letter. If this is a relationship where I don't want this patient to get the normal dunning message in the bottom of a statement that would increase in severity as the account ages, then I can check that box. Say don't send him an overdue letter, and don't put that sometimes nasty dunning message on the bottom. If this patient doesn't get paper statements, if they only get a portal statement, which is an electronic statement, so basically they're going to get an email instead of a statement, and then they can click on it to view their account and to make their payment online, then I would check this box saying don't send the patient a paper statement. If this is a courtesy account and I don't want them to get a copay, I would check that. And then flag to receive a statement, that's going to get checked automatically. We don't have to check that. So anytime there is a charge to this patient's account, or if I bill insurance and then when the insurance comes back there ends up being a deductible or a copay, so the patient's balance is affected, that will automatically get checked so that that patient will be included in my next statement run. By default, this system is only going to show you plans that are active. So if I have plans that are no longer active, they're going to be hidden unless I click that button. And it will show multiple tabs running across here. And then I could look at historical information. Account ledger is going to show you all the charges, payments, and adjustments on the account. It's a brand new account. Of course, there's nothing there. And then documents would show you a list of documents that were scanned in. So this could be payment policies. It could be HIPAA agreements, anything that you want to see on the front end as opposed to clinical documents. All front end documents, authorization, payment things, stuff that billers are concerned about, that would show there. So now jump back to my cover page, and then one last thing I want to cover is how to select a patient. So I've added a patient. Now at any time I can pull up any patient. I'll just click the select patient button. And when I do that, it pulls up the list of the last couple of patients that I viewed. And I can go ahead and double click on one of those. I can, of course, also click on the new patient button, or I can type in a couple letters of the patient's last name. And as I'm typing, it narrows down my field of who my patients are. So I did a couple letters of the last name, comma, first initial. That shows me one patient. I can go ahead and hit enter or double click. That pulls up that patient. All right. There is a patient search button here, so this will allow you to search by more than just names. So if you happen to get a voicemail message and you can't quite make out the detail on the patient, but you did make out the phone number or some other piece of information, that will allow you to do a search by various other pieces of information. And I can click the new patient button right here to add a new patient. Again, at any time I can select any patient, I can click on any one of the tabs here and make updates to the information.